Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So I've gotten a lot of questions and requests about the Michigan governor's race to make an updated video, and now I feel obligated to, given the fact that there is a massive development that many candidates actually won't even be making the ballot, and this is a huge shakeup. This mainly is because of the fact that investigators suspect that a certain amount of signatures, 68,000 to be exact, on the candidates' petitions are invalid. This is a major shakeup in this race because so many candidates that were perceived to be contending for the nomination to take on Gretchen Whitmer in the fall are now out of the race and disqualified. So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about who's remaining. Will these candidates actually be disqualified? And who would I support of the remaining candidates? We'll talk about it, but I have to tell you guys about redeaglepatriots.com, mainly shop.redeaglepatriots.com. Hope everybody's having a happy Memorial Day today, and you guys can celebrate Memorial Day by saving 20% off at checkout at shop.redeaglepatriots.com with the code MEMORIAL. We have all of these great designs. The sale ends tonight. Save 20% on t-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, tank tops, hoodies, posters, etc. We have it all. All these great epic designs and more at shop.redeaglepatriots.com. So here we go. The governor's primary field, it was mainly going to be James Craig. James Craig was the front runner. James Craig is the former police chief out of Detroit. He led a very blue city in a fairly conservative manner, one could say. Maybe he wasn't exactly perfect, but you have to understand he was an elected police chief in a 90% Democrat city, and he actually kept crime relatively low for the most part during his tenure. And now he's coming out as a Republican. He's running, or he was running, on the Republican side. You also had Perry Johnson, who is a businessman. He was running as well. And many other candidates that failed to qualify for the race. Now, there are still ongoing lawsuits. This could get overturned. There is a chance that Craig, Johnson, and others could very well end up getting back on the ballot. If I had to guess who it would be that would get on, it probably would be James Craig, mainly because of the fact that he has the highest name recognition, he has the most resources and pull, maybe to get a successful lawsuit through before the deadline is completely official. And you could see this here if you look at predicted. Craig is still at 5 cents on predicted. Johnson is at 4. There are some people that are holding out and still believing that there is a very good chance that they could get back on the ballot. But I would have to say now at this point, it's more likely than not that they don't, which is crazy because we originally were not expecting this. A lot of people thought Craig had the nomination pretty much wrapped up. And if you look at the polls down here, you could see this. Craig was polling in RCP at 28.5%. However, Donald Trump never really gave Craig an endorsement. He gave an endorsement to Lombardo in Nevada, which I think that the two candidates are fairly similar. Sheriffs or lead police chiefs in a fairly blue area. Craig being from Detroit, and Lombardo being a countywide elected official in Clark County of all places. Obviously, Detroit's a lot bluer, but that's beside the point. But Trump did not endorse Craig yet, mainly because it's very early, but he actually didn't speak about him or Johnson or anybody at all except for Tudor Dixon, which is interesting because the predicted betting odds now have Dixon as the total frontrunner now, with nearly 50% of all predicted bets being directly placed on her. And Trump is somebody that called Dixon very special a while back in February. I believe he mentioned her name at a rally back a couple of months ago when he was in Washington Township. I believe it was at that rally where he mentioned her name and brought her up as a potential gubernatorial candidate that he liked. He kind of did the same thing in Arizona with Blake Masters. You know, he hasn't endorsed Masters just yet, but he probably will in the coming months or so, just like I believe he will endorse Dixon, assuming nobody else can get back on the ballot within the coming months or so, because their primaries are on the same day, August 2nd, I believe. So now that we kind of know what Trump's intentions are and who he likes for Trump and his base, I don't necessarily believe that this is really that big of a deal. And you'll have a lot of these establishmentarian individuals that are going to sit back here and say, well, James Craig was the only one that could win this election, or that these establishmentarian characters were the only people that were capable of winning statewide, despite the fact that it's probably going to be an R+5, R+8 red wave midterm in a state where Donald Trump ended up winning in 2016, and Trumpian candidates tend to do a little bit better than your average standard Republican statewide, and we know this. And a lot of the anti-Whitmer energy is coming from the grassroots, to the point where it's like, okay, you need a candidate that really speaks to the base that can win this election. Like, I think James Craig very well could have won the election. I don't think that he's really that bad of a candidate by any means. But Dixon over Craig, when you look at policy, when you look at how good of a candidate that she potentially could be, I honestly would rather have Dixon than Craig. So I'm not entirely sure why this is that much of a loss. And of course, you have these same people that will go out there and say, Dixon can't win. And I mean, I've seen people like on Twitter say that Dixon is QAnon. And like, I did an extensive amount of research trying to find out what exactly they were talking about, and I couldn't find anything whatsoever at all. Like, you have these so-called quote-unquote conservatives that think and talk exactly like resist libs or leftists, where everybody that just happens to be remotely aligned with Trump or an America First agenda happen to be like open QAnon or whatever. And these attack lines bounce off completely. This is just a psyop so people can get in the more establishmentarian type of Republicans in there, because they'll say, oh, you happen to go against the grain a little bit. Well, guess what? You're not capable of winning. That's what they do. It's all a psyop. They've been doing it for years against Republicans, and they're doing it again in the 2022 midterms. They did it to Carrie Lake. They're doing it to Doug Mastriano, and now they're going to do it to Tudor Dixon because she's the front runner in Michigan. And honestly, assuming that she does win the nomination, I think that it's a very good chance that all three of those candidates could very well win and become governors of these swing states. And you need governors in these swing states that are going to be capable and willing to wield the right amount of power to make sure that their state stays in the Republican column, or in the case of Michigan, goes into the Republican column and stays there for ensuing election cycles to come, and not act like a weak loser like Brian Kemp in the state of Georgia and do everything that he possibly can do to incentivize liberals to move into Georgia, to accelerate the already leftward trend in the state, particularly in the Atlanta area, which is where a lot of the population in the state of Georgia is. A lot of Michigan's population is not exactly concentrated on one metro area. I mean, you could say the Detroit area has like 40% of the state's population, but some of the counties in that metro area, like Macomb County, are relatively populous, and they're also fairly Republican, and Trump Republicans tend to do better there. Again, not all suburbs are created equal. It depends who lives in those suburbs, which is true. But you look at the fact that Tudor Dixon, again, she's very optical. She's somebody that Trump will endorse, and she's somebody that you could say has a decent amount of appeal, and she actually is talking about substance. She has a 25 by 25 plan, and there are 25 policies that she wants to enact by the end of 2025 regarding educational reform, regarding the economy, regarding election integrity, infrastructure, which is a big issue, as well as law and order and immigration. You look at all of these policies right here, and that's something of substance. If you look at a lot of these other establishmentarian candidates, you will see the fact that they have a lot of hot air. They will say, oh, we need to back the blue. We need to, I support the Second Amendment. Like, they don't actually talk about policy. And this is a problem. But you have a lot of candidates that do. And ironically, these are the same people that the establishment says have no substance other than the fact that they like Trump, which, again, they like Trump, which is a good thing, because you should like Trump, especially if you want to energize Michigan Republicans to get out and vote for you. But it's laughable that there's a lot of people out there that think that standing up for the actual base prevents you from winning, which, again, it's the most laughable paradox in the world. I don't know what goes through these people's brains, but it's all because they want power. They want to keep the power for the establishment, and we need more candidates that are able to run and get in there and do just that, which is true. And it might be a good thing. This might be a blessing that certain candidates that were more establishmentarian got kicked off of the ballot, and now Trump has his candidate that he's going to endorse that's already pretty much the front runner, and she's going to go out there and just destroy Whitmer in November, and it's great to see. So we'll have to wait and see what happens between now and then. There's a chance that Craig and others could get back on the ballot, but as of right now, I think it's safe to say that Dixon is the front runner, and it's a good thing. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Make sure you like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. And make sure you check out the merch. It's on sale today only. The link is in the pinned comment. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.